The plot of Beyond the Gates from September 22nd to 26, 2025 reveals the tension simmering beneath the surface of the seemingly peaceful Fairmont Crest. Fairmont Crest in the last days of summer becomes a giant stage where the golden light of sunset seems no longer enough to hide the cracks gradually exposed in every family, every relationship. Joey has long been a man who knows how to hide his calculations under the facade of elegance, attractive charm, and irresistible confidence. But behind every smile, every handshake, or every sweet word, this man always considers the benefits, always finds a way to turn feelings, trust, and even the most personal factors into tools to serve his purposes. As he prepares to propose to Vanessa, no one can clearly know where the line is between true love and a sophisticated political strategy. In a world where relationships are more fragile than ever, where hugs can hide a dagger in the back, Joey understands that a bold decision can reshape the entire landscape, not only for Vanessa but also for the powerful Dupree clan. He calculates every detail, from the sparkling ring as a testament of love to the setting of the proposal, where light, space, and emotion are arranged like a predetermined chess game. For Joey, love is a weapon, and this proposal is a decisive move to take a position that no one can easily take away. Vanessa, meanwhile, is caught in an inner storm that is constantly tearing at her heart. She has tasted betrayal, felt abandoned in her most secure moments. So stability is what she craves, but it is also the haunting past that makes her skeptical of any promise, no matter how glittering the light of love or how sweet the words. Joey brings her an irresistible charm, a seductive allure that her heart can hardly refuse. But besides that, there is still the unstable Doug, the husband whose presence has turned her life into an unpredictable chaos. The prospect of leaving Doug means challenging the rage of a deeply wounded man, and Vanessa knows that a rejection of Joey or a decision to stick with him can open the doors to unforeseen tragedy. Doug is not just a jealous husband. He is a ticking time bomb whose every heartbeat, every thought is filled with anger and a desire for revenge. He sees Joey not just as a rival, but as the embodiment of betrayal, as someone who has dared to steal the woman he thought was his. In his anger, Doug begins to hatch a dark plan, a plan tinged with violence, with Joey's destruction as the only goal. But does Doug have the wisdom and ability to make it happen? Or will his own temper cause everything to collapse from the start? A murder plan is never just a matter of determination. It requires sobriety, secrecy, and the ability to conceal. And Doug, with his erratic nature and fragile psychology, may become the victim of his own schemes. Joey, with his ability to read people's psychology, may smell danger before Doug can act. He can use Doug's anger as a weapon against him, turning the revenge plot into a trap that Doug falls into. In a game where Joey controls every move, Doug is easily reduced to a pawn, where every move is under the control of a master schemer. But the real danger lies in the fact that Doug, in his blindness, can still create an unpredictable moment, a knife swing or a sudden shot that can ruin the entire plan that Joey has built. If Doug fails to carry out his scheme, the consequences for him will be inevitable. Joey will certainly take this opportunity to completely defeat an enemy, making Doug a living example for anyone who dares to oppose him. But it is also possible that Doug will somehow turn the situation around, drawing Joey into a dangerous situation where cleverness may not be enough to save. In such confrontations, nothing is certain except the fact that the weaker one, if bold enough and desperate enough, can still make a game-changing blow. That I end this scene. Vanessa becomes the center of a chess game full of intrigue and danger. Her decisions involve not only her heart, but also the lives, honor, and future of those around her. Joey's proposal, instead of bringing simple happiness, becomes the catalyst that pushes everything to the brink. Will Vanessa nod, give Joey control of her life and open a powerful alliance? Or will she bravely refuse to keep her fragile freedom and accept to face Doug's wrath? In a world where every action has unpredictable consequences, every word can become a knife. The future of Vanessa, Joey and Doug remains a dramatic mystery, where love, hate, and ambition intertwine in an uncompromising dance. While the storm gradually forms, in another corner of Fairmont Crest, Tomas, who is used to using glamour to cover up the empty spaces in his soul and in relationships that have long been cracked. After the harsh words he once said to Cat, in the moment of realizing the coldness in her eyes, Tomas chose the path of redemption not through quiet sincerity, but through theatrical ostentation. He prepared lavish dinners, brilliant bouquets, gestures that could make outsiders believe he was the perfect lover. But under the flickering candlelight and melodious music, Cat still clearly felt the heaviness of the cracks, like cracks on a mirror that was polished on the outside but could not be erased on the inside. With each step Tomas took closer, with each touch he gave, Cat realized more and more the distance that could not be measured by material things, the distance that came from wounds that had never truly healed. Cat was torn between the desire to believe that everything could change and the fear that she was just continuing to deceive herself. The romance Tomas brought was only a thin veil. The more it covered, the more it exposed the truth that this love had been tested too much to remain intact. His gestures made her feel like she was being drawn into a drama that they both knew would not end well. She wondered if she had the courage to tell the truth, to admit that harmony never really existed, or to continue standing in the bright lights of the parties, smiling as if everything was fine, while her heart still screamed in silence. Meanwhile, Tomas, despite his calm demeanor, still carried a fire of pride inside him that was always ready to explode. He could accept being rejected once, but if he heard Cat affirm once more that what he did was not enough, that the love he gave was just a setup, Tomas's self-esteem would be torn apart. At that point, the question was no longer whether he could continue to try, but whether he could restrain his explosive nature that had already caused things to spiral out of control many times. Because in a moment of wounded pride, Tomas's romance could turn into anger, and that anger, if not restrained, would become a real danger to Cat, who only wanted to find peace. Their relationship at this moment was like a magnificent building that was rotten inside. Tomas could continue to paint new layers of paint, hang sparkling paintings on it, but just a strong wind could cause everything to collapse. Cat understood that clearly, but the hesitation in her heart made her hesitate between tearing down to rebuild or continuing to live in a flashy shell. Tomas, instead of choosing silence and listening, continued to try to assert himself with brilliant actions, as if just being big enough, magnificent enough would erase all mistakes. But love cannot be bought with lavish parties, and broken trust cannot be mended with staged gestures. Their future, therefore, hangs on the line between naked truth and shimmering illusion, where every choice carries an inevitable weight. On another level of this vast picture, Andre always appears with a calm and mysterious appearance, a presence that makes people around him feel both safe and wary. In those seemingly cold looks, he hides many stories, many scars of the soul that few can touch. Dany, on the contrary, is someone who always lets her heart lead. But that heart has also been deeply wounded by memories associated with Ashley and Bill. When those two people sit together, the atmosphere between them seems to be covered by a heavy silence, where every word spoken seems to evoke unhealed wounds, but at the same time opens up an opportunity for healing. The conversation doesn't stop at mentioning the past, but becomes a real challenge for both of them, forcing Andre to face the pain and desire he has always suppressed. And Dany must decide if she is ready to let this man into the corners she has tried to lock away. In the world of Fairmont Crest, where no relationship exists without being tinged with ambition, love, and manipulation, the connection between Andre and Dany becomes a tense unknown. They are not just two individuals seeking comfort, but also pawns in a larger game, where intimacy can easily be instrumentalized, where a handshake can hide a hidden agenda. So when Andre suggests a trip, a time away from the suffocating Fairmont Crest, Dany feels both relieved and skeptical. The idea of escaping the maelstrom of intrigue, jealousy, and power pressure sounds like a dream, but at the same time it raises the question. Does Andre really want to find peace with her, or just want more control, more possession of pieces of her soul? The trip, if it happens, will not only be a temporary escape from the stress, but also a test for both of them. Andre, in his composure, will be forced to prove that he can give sincerity instead of just keeping control. Dany, meanwhile, must face the fear that if she lets Andre in too deeply into her inner world, she will lose her freedom again, tied to an unbalanced relationship. But if she refuses, she may also lose the rare opportunity to find true empathy in this world of lies. Dany's choice will not only decide the fate of her relationship with Andre, but also reflect on how she sees herself. Will she let her feelings guide her, face her unresolved feelings, accept her vulnerability and find new strength? Or will she continue to build up protective walls, living in a false sense of security while always carrying a deep loneliness? Andre, with his patience and listening ability, can be a companion, but only if he is truly willing to put down his mysterious shell and show Dany his true self. Otherwise, the trip, no matter how beautiful the scenery, will only be a temporary one, a camouflage for problems that have never been resolved at the root. Those three seemingly separate lifelines intertwine like underground currents, creating a terrible pressure that weighs heavily on the Fairmont Crest atmosphere. Joey's proposal to Vanessa took place in an atmosphere no one could have expected, because it was not simply a romantic moment between two people but also an act of defiance, a public declaration of war against everything that belonged to Doug and his seemingly still-standing marriage to her. Joey knew that his every look, every word, every gesture was being watched by the powerful people in Fairmont Crest, and he chose to shock everyone. It was a proposal of love, but at the same time a warning that he was ready to take not only Vanessa's heart, but also the position and power that came with her name. In this context, Doug, already drowning in debt and addiction, felt like he was being pushed into a corner. Jealousy and anger not only tormented his mind, but also turned into a fire that burned away the fragile remnants of reason. Doug began to hatch a dangerous plan for revenge, a sick idea fueled by the humiliation of losing his wife and his own pride. Long nights of smoking and drinking only made him more obsessed with the image of Joey kneeling before Vanessa, and from that arose the determination that blood was the only thing that could wash away this humiliation. Vanessa, standing in the middle of the storm, was strangely attracted to Joey's boldness and charm. She knew that beneath his aura were scheming, cold layers of calculation that if she fell, she would have to pay with everything. But in the moment of facing that proposal, her heart trembled before Joey's decisiveness and charm, something Doug had never offered except anger and empty promises. Vanessa felt herself pushed towards the abyss, where a nod would open up a whole new horizon but could also drown her in tragedy. Meanwhile, Doug makes no secret of his preparations for revenge. His erratic actions, his shadowy encounters, all signal that a storm of violence is about to sweep through Fairmont Crest. The tension builds day by day, hour by hour, as each character is drawn into the inevitable vortex of conflict. Joey, with his cunning and ability to turn the situation around, prepares to face any attack, even willing to use Doug's scheme as a springboard for greater ambitions. Vanessa, torn between her desire for freedom and her fear of loss, stands on the thin line of choice. And Doug, in his utmost despair, clings to the idea that revenge is the only way to regain his lost honor. Fairmont Crest, where every bright light hides hidden intrigue, has now become a dramatic stage where every decision, no matter how small, can lead to a shocking scandal or irreparable destruction. The elite community in this isolated area cannot ignore what is happening. Rumors spread quickly, gossip becomes a weapon of destruction, and the rift in Vanessa's family threatens to drag down the entire chain of relationships in Fairmont Crest. People begin to predict the ending, whether Vanessa will accept a dangerous alliance with Joey in exchange for freedom, or will she refuse, setting off a chain of events that could end in blood and tears. The coming days will not only decide the fate of the three people tied in this dark love triangle, but also shake the foundation of the seemingly solid community. In a world where love, hate, and ambition are intertwined, no choice comes without a price, and every step could be the beginning of an unforeseen tragedy. Thank you for taking the time to watch my video. All the content I make is just speculation and personal sharing. If you find the video interesting and useful, please support me with a like and leave a comment. If you have better ideas or more interesting speculations, please share them in the comments section for everyone to discuss. I appreciate all your contributions and support. Sincerely, thank you.